What's going on, everybody? The NFL just approved the rule that moves the extra point back to the 15-yard line for the snap, and the 2-point conversion remains the same. I don't know how I feel about this. I have a feeling, though, that games won't be as automatic anymore. For instance, if you're up by 6 and the other team scores and they have a bum kicker, it's not a guarantee. I think that most teams now would probably want to go for 2. I just don't know. There's a lot of kickers that do whatever they want, and I'm trying to figure out, was this for the suspense of the game? I don't know if there were other things that the NFL could possibly do, like make the guys be able to hit each other, you know, things like that. Stop letting guys. I don't really understand what's going on. Like as far as illegal hitting, to me, the NFL has become more of a sissy nanny league. Pretty much, it's almost two-hand touch. You can't really touch the receivers anymore. It's a lot of crap that goes on, and I understand everything about the concussions and what happened with the older players and what they're going through. But the NFL is the NFL, and you sign up for it. You know what I'm saying? Like if you sign up to be a prostitute in Vegas, you're a prostitute in Vegas. You finna get that work. Like this is what's gonna go on. If you want to play a sport that's violent, you know, in nature, the NFL is violent in nature. The game itself, it should be a waiver that pretty much you're gonna get this kind of money, but it comes with a risk. You know, I've watched UFC fights and guys are getting pounded in the face like maniacs, and that's the reason that despite the fallback of the regular boxing, other than the Floyd Mayweather fight that grossed a ridiculous amount of money, nobody's really interested in boxing as much. Because of the UFC, because they really get, you know what I'm saying, dudes is getting that work, and also you get what you want, you get those fights that you want. And I just think that if the UFC turned into something where it's like, you know what, now you can't hit him in the face, you can't choke him out, you can't do that, that's what makes it appealing. So you can go ahead and, you know, create a two-hand touch league, but that's what I think the NFL should have focused on, not changing the extra point, because to me, all that's going to do is get more kickers fired. Because from the 33-yard line, people are saying that it's, it's automatic and all that stuff like that. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be automatic for a lot of these kickers, because now the pressure is on a lot more. And if you guys remember, there were a lot of kickers that when they kicked the extra point from where it used to be just barely in the uprights. So I wonder now with this, would they increase the amount of money that the kicker makes? Because these 1 points now are worth so much more. And it just fascinates me of these little, these little intricate details that the NFL will try to go through, after this whole thing that's going on with Tom Brady and Deflategate, like these little things that they do that, like with the bigger picture of their product. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't, it's just so many things that affect regular watchers. And instead of making the game what it's supposed to be, they're scared of the lawsuits and stuff like that because of what happened in the past. But you would think that they would change it by creating waivers. Most people, like in most professional jobs and corporations, I'm talking about higher level jobs that that I've been a part of, you got to sign waivers for certain things. Like you can't sue the company, shit, stuff like that for different reasons. You know what I'm saying? Because you're making ridiculous money. You're making 6 figures. So they want to make sure that you're not trying to do something else outside of that. So you have to pretty much, as part of signing on, you have to agree to certain things that you would have to seek their counsel first. It'll have to be disclosed, unless it's something like sexual harassment and stuff like that. I'm talking about strictly stuff within the organization. With those type of jobs, that I've been privy to, those things you have to agree to certain things. What I'm saying about the NFL and what's happening with the brand, it's becoming very, very tedious about the things that they worry about. Does that in deflated football with Tom Brady affect the game? Absolutely. But based on the fine that they charge, they don't consider it that much of an offense because it's so much lower than what other things are. But because Tom Brady does it, it's a big deal. When I know a lot of other quarterbacks, based on the polls and the census and people that have played in the NFL of what they had to say, a lot of other quarterbacks do it as well. So all I'm saying is this. In my opinion, I think that they need to focus more on the actual game and brand itself and let people start getting hit so hard that their kidney falls out. And then, then you can start playing around with other things. But when I'm seeing calls when a guy is going straight shoulder, you know, leading with his shoulder, not his helmet, and it happens so fast, and the sound that it makes, that the ref calls a penalty, and that affects the game of a team that I need to win because of a bet that I made, I have a problem with that. However, fantasy will be a lot more exciting because of this change. All I want to know now is, how do you feel about this change? Do you think this was necessary, or was just the NFL having their thumb up their ass again? Let me know what you think. Leave it in the comments. Until next time, it's always GmiasWorld.